All right, hello students. Before we get started, I just wanted to kind of point out a couple things. If you look down here at these boxes, these are text boxes for me. So you don't have to write these down. I'm just going to type stuff in there. It just kind of shows me where they're at, so I'm not looking for them. And this is just a box we're going to use to make our tape diagrams with. So you don't need to copy anything down yet. I just kind of want to let you know whenever you see these, they're just text boxes for me. You don't have to box those in and write in. Just kind of that's an indication for me. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the problem. So, of course, lesson 6, solving problems involving, equivalent fractions. All right, let's go ahead and start reading through this. The business direct hotel, caters to people who travel for different types of business trips. Okay, nothing important yet. On Saturday night, there was not a lot of business travel. So the ratio number of occupied rooms to the number of unoccupied rooms is 2 to 5. Well, that's probably an important piece of information. So we have a 2 to 5 relationship. We're talking about occupied rooms to unoccupied rooms. So there you go. Just go and underline that. Let's go and continue reading. However, on Sunday night, the ratio of number of occupied rooms to the number of unoccupied rooms is 6 to 1. So now we're given actually another day. So that day is probably important. Sunday night, occupied rooms, unoccupied rooms. And that's 6 to 1. As you see, I'm using different colors. Now, because we're given that day, that Sunday night, the Saturday night up here is probably important as well. So let's go ahead and underline that. Okay, so you got to kind of look at how things are changing, and that usually indicates something of importance. Okay, the days changing, so we're probably going to be comparing some days to each other. Sorry, I forgot to read the sentence. I apologize. Due to the number of business people attending a large conference in the area. That's not important, really. Why they're there is not important, but the numbers are for mathematical purposes. If the business direct hotel has 432 occupied rooms on Sunday night, how many unoccupied rooms does it have? Does it have? Saturday night. Well, first of all, let's go ahead and before we start kind of talking about that information, let's take the information that we have underlined and put it into some tape diagrams just so we can kind of work with it. So right here we have Saturday night. So I'm just going to abbreviate Saturday. And the first thing we have Saturday night, we have occupied rooms. So let's go ahead and put Saturday night occupied. And this goes with a 5 to 2 ratio. So this comes first. The 2 comes first. So this would be a 2. So we would need two blocks here to represent this tape diagram. Of course, they should be touching. Next, well, we're also still talking about Saturday night. We have Saturday night unoccupied rooms, and it's 2 to 5, so 5 would be that one. So let's go ahead and abbreviate Saturday. Let's go ahead and put unoccupied. Let's go ahead and put 5. So we need 5 of these pieces of tape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to move these. You go ahead and draw yours in as I'm moving these over. Okay, I'm going to try to do my best to get them touching as best as possible without taking up a whole lot of time. All right, so there you go. The other piece of information, if we look at the red of the next sentence. However, on Sunday night, the ratio of number of occupied rooms to unoccupied rooms is 6 to 2. So now we have a day change. So Sunday night, let me get my thing out of the way. And then, of course, occupied. And that would be 6. And of course, same thing here. We need 6 of these blocks. So let's go ahead and copy and paste. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So go ahead and draw yours in as I kind of pull mine over. And so once again, we want them connected. I'm going to try to do this as quickly as possible. If you're done, you can go ahead and kind of fast forward till I'm done kind of with this if you'd like. And if I go too fast, of course, pause it until you're completed yours. And the last piece of information so far is Sunday. We have unoccupied rooms, and of course, that is 1. So right now, I'm just kind of taking the information provided and setting up my tape diagrams, of course, and this is 1. So we just simply need 1 of these. All right, so that's all the information provided. Now let's go ahead and look at kind of the other information or the question. If the business direct hotel has here we go. Let's go ahead and underline. 132 occupied rooms on Sunday night. So if we go to Sunday night, so here's Sunday night, occupied rooms is 6. All of this has to equal 432. That's what it's telling us. So as you can see, I'm just kind of taking the sentence by sentence or line by line. Next, now here's the question. I like to kind of underline the question. How many unoccupied rooms do they have on Saturday night? So Saturday night, unoccupied rooms, where is that at? This is right here. So what it's asking us is how much is this? If all these tapes, how much are all these tapes put together? Well, if they give us over here 432 for these 6 tapes, we should be able to figure out how much each tape is worth. Well, that's called division. Okay, this is called division. We're going to take the 432 and we're going to divide it by 6. So just kind of do the math real quick for us. 432 divided by 6 is 72. That means each of these tapes is worth 72. Okay, so all these are worth 72. So instead of taking the time to write them in there, if they're all worth 72. Remember, whatever happens in one tape, all the tapes have to be worth. So if all of these tapes are 72, that means all of these tapes down here are also 72. So 72, 72, 72, 72. So to figure out how many unoccupied rooms does it have on Saturday night, we take our 72 in each of these boxes and we multiply it by how many boxes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so to figure out how many unoccupied rooms on Saturday night they have, we do the multiplication. And I'm just going to do kind of the multiplication for you real quick. It is 360. So to answer the question, we have 360 unoccupied rooms on Saturday night. All right, so there's your information. That's how we kind of set it up based on the information provided. We have to take the information given here in green and do our division. And of course, if one box equals 72, all the other boxes have to equal 72. All right, you can go ahead and stop the video. Go ahead and move on to the next video to go over the next problem. All right, hello students. Let's go over another problem together. I'm going to kind of do this one a little bit differently. So please kind of follow along as I do this and kind of set up things as we kind of go. So once again, you don't need to fill in these boxes on your paper. These are my text boxes that I'm going to use. So let's go and go through the problem. All right, Peter is trying to work out by completing sit-ups and push-ups in order to gain muscle mass. Originally, Peter was completing 5 sit-ups for every 3 push-ups but then he injured his shoulder. All right, so let's go ahead and underline some important piece of information. First, we have 5 sit-ups for every 3 push-ups. Of course, this was before, kind of before he injured his shoulder. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue reading. After the injury, so here you go. Now, after, some things are going to change. Here we go. Peter completed the same number of repetitions as he did before his injury, but he completes 7 sit-ups for every 1 push-up. So here we go. Our ratio now has changed. So before we kind of read on, let's go ahead and kind of write down what we've been given. So first, we have 2 times. First, we have before injury and after injury. Okay, and then we have 2 different things that we're doing. We're doing sit-ups and we're doing push-ups. So let's go ahead and kind of write those things down. So right now we have before injury and we have sit-ups. Okay, because of course sit-ups came first. We have before injury. Okay, so I'm just going to put before, and we have push-ups. And of course we have after injury. So this is the same thing after injury, and we have sit-ups. And we have after injury, and we have push-ups. Okay, now let's put some numbers with these. So before injury sit-up, so here you go. Originally, Peter was completing 5 sit-ups. So that's before the injury. Let's go and put 5 and 3 push-ups. Once again, before injury, let's go and put 3. But after the injury, so now here's our after the injury side. After the injury sit-ups. Well, here we go. Let's see. After the injury, Peter completed the same number of repetitions as he did before the injury, but he completes 7 sit-ups. So here we go, 7 sit-ups. And here it says for every 1 push-up. So let's go and put 1 push-up. All right, so we kind of set up the numbers. Now we don't have tape diagrams yet, which is perfectly fine. I have this piece of tape here just so I can use it later. Now let's go ahead and look at what they're asking. Okay, they're going to give us now some more information and a question. During a training session after his injury, so we're talking about after his injury, Peter completed 8 push-ups. So we're talking about the 8 push-ups here. So let's go and take out our green highlighter or green pen. So we're talking about after injury, and we're talking about 8 push-ups. Okay, let's keep going. How many push-ups was Peter completing before the injury? So that's the question. So really, we're only comparing these 2 items here. We're not comparing, it says the question, the other information has nothing to do with sit-ups. So we kind of really don't need to work with this right now because there's no information on it. So we should create our tape diagrams for the push-ups though. So let's go ahead and copy this. Let's go ahead and need 3 for here. So let's go ahead and put 3 for before. And over here for after, we have 1 push-up. So let's go ahead and just simply drag this one over. Okay, could I have created a tape diagram for the sit-ups before and after? Absolutely. We just wouldn't need it for any for the question being asked. So here we go. So if we go back to the information during a training session after the injury, so after the injury, Peter completed 8 push-ups. So here we go. Peter completed 8. So this little box here represents 8. So remember, if this box represents 8, all of these boxes here have to represent 8. So if we want to, we could fill it in, or we could look at what it's asking us next. How many push-ups was Peter completing before injury? So here's push-ups before. So we want to know if all of those are 8. So let's go ahead and fill in our 8 now. How many push-ups was he actually completing right here? And of course, we could do 8. We could 8 plus 8 plus 8, or 8 times 3 is 24. So that's really the work that we needed to do. We didn't need to make the tape diagram for sit-ups because it didn't ask us anything about the sit-ups in the question. So there you go. There is your kind of the work. Now let's go ahead and come down here. Was Peter completing before the injury? I know it's a question because of this key thing here called a question mark. Okay, so Peter was complete. Excuse me. How many was he completing? He was completing the 24 right here, the 24. We're talking about push-ups. Before, of course, this is before his injury. Before, let me put the or his injury. There we go. So remember, these tape diagrams and the information provided in the tape diagrams is information to help us. So this is kind of the work shown to come up with the answer. This part right here is the answer. Peter was completing 24 push-ups before the injury. All right, your job now is to go on to number 3. It's the same basic type of question, and you're going to go ahead and answer this on your own. You're going to try it. You're going to kind of take the information provided. You're going to set it up. And then you're going to go to the next video, and I'm going to provide you with the answer. So go ahead and stop the video now and go ahead and try this, this question on your own, and then check your answer. All right, hello students. Hopefully this is kind of something that you should have here for the question, but hopefully through it and kind of finish up or kind of figure out how I came up to Rob has 120. So Tom and Rob are brothers who like to make bets about outcomes of different contests between them. Before the last bet, the ratio of amount of Tom's money to the amount of Rob's money is 4-7. So here's before the bet, 4-7. Rob lost the last competition, and now the ratio of Tom's money to Rob's money is 8-3. So here he goes after the last bet, 8-3. If Rob had 280 before the last competition, how much does Rob have now that he lost the bet? So let's go ahead and take a look real quick. So here you go, 280 before the last competition. So here's before. This has to equal 280. And of course, there's 7 3 and 2, and go ahead and work on 4 and 5. And we'll discuss these in class in just a moment. So go ahead and stop the video and go ahead and move on, please.